So yeah, let's talk about you creating your own podcast. You have plenty of experience, so I feel like you have definitely got a head start over most that have that question.
Right. So, yeah, I mean, I love doing the podcast. I've been on like 50, at least
At least.
50. So for me, it feels like I already like have a podcast in a way because I've already been on so many, and the topics have changed up from time to time as well, which has been good. Like on your podcast, we talked about like totally different stuff than what I normally talk about. But I'm feeling, you obviously have a lot of experience in creating podcasts, because how many podcasts do you yourself have? And then how many have you created for others?
2 that I host, 3 that you could say I produce, and might even be producing a 4th one here soon, but that definitely wouldn't be till 2020. So.
Okay. So, I mean, you seem like the right guy to talk to about this, which is why I wanted to, speak to you about this idea. Is what came into my head. We officially started a podcast last week or 2 weeks ago with Bobby Sharma. We hosted a joint podcast called The Higher Profits with Yonah and Bobby, which really, I'm not really doing anything except trying to arrange some guests and being on the show, asking questions. So I really have no idea what's going on with that, if it's even live. I know it's on YouTube. I don't know if it's on any other channels, if we have a website. I don't know anything. But I realized that, what's really blocking me, and I think maybe you can help me work through some of these things, is, I've heard it's so easy to start a podcast, right? All you need to do is just like get onto Stitcher or whatever, Anchor, and there's like these things, and just hit record, and that's it. You have a podcast. But to me, it doesn't seem like, and I'm not a perfectionist in any way, but I feel like if I want to do something, I want to do it right. Right? In Yiddish, we say lichatchila riber, right? You do it, the first time you do it, you want to do it to do it right. Right? You want to do it in the first case, the best case. So for me, that seems there is some necessary preparations that are involved. So what are those preparations that are necessary, and how much time involvement is that actually going to look like? That's really want to clear up here.
Yeah. So in regards to what you said about doing it right, or as best as you can that first time, you have a few options, and that also just comes down to, as you mentioned, time. Capital. Did you plan on putting any money into it to get it started? Because I'll start with that. If that is the case, you did want to put some financing into it.
Yeah, let me see if I can take some notes here. 1 second.
Sure.
Let me get a piece of paper here. I should have prepared. Let me get a piece of paper. 1 second, get some notes. Okay, we're good.
All right,
let's do it.
Because there's definitely two approaches here, and I'll start with the one which is kind of investing into the show from the beginning.
Right.
3 individuals that I know that would be even more of a wealth of knowledge and getting you started would be, there's an individual named Spencer Shaw. He's been a guest on MC Laubscher's show before, and he's a former dream chaser as well. So Spencer Shaw has a firm that, that's what they do, is they get individuals who are ready to invest and set their show up and kick it off with a bang. And I think it might even be at the commercial level, meaning it would be like a show for Madison Specs, maybe not even for Yonah. Individual, there's some of them, I'm sure Josh McCallan and Eric Cabral, again, part of the Cash Flow Ninja community. And those 2 did a great job of, from getting to know Josh, basically sitting at the feet of MC, taking notes, and then replicating what MC has done, but definitely getting off to a quicker start with their show, Capital Hacking, than I'm sure. Not that MC probably got off to a slow start, but what they learned from him, they've been able to apply through also investing in the show. Okay. And third person who I've had him on my show. I know you were on his. and he's cranking out like at least an episode a day, if not more. His name's Gresham Harkless with Blue 16 Media.
Right.
And there's been so many things. Every time I have a conversation with Gresham, there's something that I take away from it, and I'm able to apply to my show and make my show better. So he just knows a ton about podcasting. So now, in regards to how how I do it, how I got started, basically the pro bono way is, well, when I first started, I was just uploading to YouTube, Facebook, and I want to say SoundCloud. And then Gresham, who I just referenced, actually put me on Anchor a little over a year ago. And my mind was blown how easy it was to upload my MP3s or WAV files after I was done editing, how easy it was to just upload it to Anchor. And next thing you know, your voice is going across 12 different platforms.
Wow.
So that's what you do.
And so that's what you do. Yeah, currently.
That's what I use is Anchor. I even use Anchor as when someone asks for the website for my podcast. The Anchor landing page is very professional and really serves as a homepage for the show because you can go any direction from Anchor in regards to other platforms.
Interesting. Now, and is that paid? Anchor is a paid platform, or it's
free? It's free, and they even depending on your reach, they offer you the opportunity to advertise on their behalf, or they have sponsors, and you can do little 10, 15, 30-second clips that, depending on how many plays or downloads you get, they compensate you for it. Really? I haven't done that with Anchor just because I'm working on keeping my show ad free. And if and when I ever do go to ads, I want it to be something that I really believe in or stand for, rather than just like, hey, buy this vitamin. So,
yeah, I get that.
And it's the most user friendly out there that I've seen. Spotify bought Anchor like 6 months ago, which is just huge. Writing on the wall, in my opinion. Yeah. And I'm sure you've probably heard this too, but the podcast industry is on pace to be valued over $1 billion by 2021. So I keep telling people it's, with that being a forecasted stat, still actually really early to get started. Believe it or not, it's actually not too late. So to catch the wave.
Okay.
So that's some information. And I'm thinking now in regards to recording and editing, that's the other piece that we haven't really covered here yet. So I don't know if that's
and you feel, just before we get to the recording, because that is a huge component of it, I mean, you feel like that's enough in terms of like the Anchor landing page, or is it necessary to create your own website?
Yeah, I think it is. There is a certain value to creating your own URL, your own website. And it's something that is certainly in the future of Dream Chasers. Cause I look at, this is just an example, but you look at someone, for example, like Alex Jones, whose voice was everywhere. And then he probably said some things that a lot of people didn't like. And next thing you know, like really the only way you can listen to him is if you go to his like website, basically. And so depending on what you're talking about on your show, if whatever platform you're using doesn't like what you're saying, you could potentially, lose your listeners by not having your own platform. So
got it. Makes sense.
Just, one thing to keep in mind. And I'll say this too, though. I'm not sure if they got their website up and running yet, but for the first at least 40 episodes, if not more, Capital Hacking, which is a really good show, which is Josh McCown and Eric Cabral's show, they use Anchor as their homepage and landing page for the show. So it is considered professional.
Okay. He actually just, he's been wanting me to get on the show for a long time.
They do a great job. So I'm sure you'll be on there.
He just emailed me yesterday again to do it. And I'm just, whatever, we'll see. The real problem, I would love to be on a show. I love podcasting. It's really, it's more of a what's the word? A coordination, timing issue than anything else.
Yeah.
They do a lot of it in-house, and they like to record on Fridays, and it's just like almost impossible for me. Even when I am local, Fridays is just like impossibility most of the time. So whatever.
And I'm sure you've got like Calendly or Schedule Once. That's definitely, something you could.
Right. Exactly. So that was actually going to be the next part of the equation. I mean, even before we get to the record, I think we're working backwards, but I think it's good because it's more the bigger picture. I mean, you could have started just take out your phone or take out a webcam like we're doing right now, Zoom meeting, hit record, and then you're good to go. Like that's to me, that's the easiest part of it. Right? I have no problem doing that. I could call up, I could send out an e-blast, I could send out to everyone I know, would you like to go on my podcast, and just record it? But I feel like, I send them a Calendly link and just have it scheduled out like that. But I feel like I'm missing a big component of it without, number one, like building some sort of a brand to it. And number two, having all of those, the other parts of it, what we just talked about, having the editing and having the, the platform or platforms to, what's the word? Put it out there.
Yeah. Well, distribute maybe.
Distribute, yeah.
You just reminded me though. Also, one thing that I do, and this is a little bit, I'm thinking about it, something that I should probably take a closer look into, just so I know what's under the hood. But my VA, do you get the Dream Chasers emails when they go out?
Yes, in fact, I get them to 2 different email addresses.
Okay. So I had my VA set that up, and she was able to go into my Anchor somehow, and there's somehow Anchor collaborates, I guess that could be the word, with MailChimp, where I think she only has to click a few buttons, and then it basically just copy pastes the message for the email, so that way she doesn't have to type it up every time.
Wow, that's incredible. And do you have to, and you don't have to like create, and you don't have to create any copy for that or any kind of branding for that e-blast?
No, yeah. It just, like, the e-blast goes out and it kind of pushes everyone towards listening on Anchor. But again, once you click the link, then it's like, here, you can listen on these other platforms too.
Right. Yeah. Amazing.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so that's actually, that's good for viewership too. I mean, because a lot of the times people don't click or don't listen, but for them to see you twice a week and know that you're creating is very helpful. Yeah.
100%. I want to just backtrack again, because you mentioned something where we just gloss over that, but no way. You mentioned you had your VA like set that up. So I want to focus on that for a minute, because obviously you have a VA. What is that experience like for you? Have you gone through multiple? Because I've heard some bad experiences from people. If you have any recommendations, and then what do they actually do for you, and what is the cost of something like that?
Right. Well, I know her and I, what we're working on now is really, I believe I'm the first client of hers for her to work on my email list. Basically, that's what she manages, is all of my emails. And so I don't want to quote a price out there and then have her be stuck, because I want her to, charge more than once more people start coming on, right?
Okay, but there are, obviously there's a range, and there's millions. I don't know, I want to say millions, but thousands of VA companies.
It seems like millions sometimes, right?
I've been hit up so many times.
I mean, thankfully, I really did find her in a pretty organic way. When I was a realtor, I got a cold call from a VA, and it was funny because she was calling on behalf of another realtor in my office, and I'm like, wait, how did you get my number? But I started talking to her, and I made friends with that VA because I thought she was doing a good job. And then she ultimately introduced me to the one that I work with now. Her name is Rena, and Rena and I, we've had some growing pains, but we've known each other for over a year now. And anytime I need just really like a little task done, even outside of the emails, I'm able to just reach out to her, and she's normally pretty responsive and gets the job done. But she knows, and if she ever does hear this recording, like sometimes I got to kick her in the butt a little bit to get it done. So, little heads up for anyone that might want to work with Rena. But at the end of the day, she gets the job done, and I'm sure she could take on some new clients if anyone that is listening to this is interested.
Okay, so you're saying she basically manages your email list. Meaning sending
Correct,
out the email,
the podcast. Yeah, and then I have a monthly, I guess you could say monthly newsletter that goes out as well. That she, she does it all. Don't tell anyone that.
No, that's fine. But everyone does that. But does she?
I know. Yeah.
Is she also involved in coordinating your guests, or do you do that?
I still handle that. I think that I'd like definitely long-term vision for Dream Chasers, and I'd say probably for anyone who's trying to kill it in regards to what you're thinking. You definitely want to have that as an end goal. I'd like to get to a point where all I really do have to do is just pull up the microphone and talk. But for now, I handle all the scheduling and basically every aspect of creating the show.
Okay, so It sounds like that the way that Anchor works and the way that you have the VA set up, it seems like a pretty great way to to kind of
I'd say
handle that.
I spend anywhere from 3 to 4 hours a week working on Dream Chasers. When I first started, it's definitely more than that. So, because you just got to get the snowball rolling.
So, what do those hours consist of? I'd love to hear that.
I'd say about an hour and a half at the most for editing. About an hour and a half to edit an episode.
Well, recording also, right?
Recording, correct, which is 45 minutes.
Right.
And then the remaining time would be posting and sharing. And then I do also create like a weekly update every week, and that takes me roughly an hour to flip around. So probably about 4 hours a week to do that.
Okay. And the scheduling, you said that you're doing still, but it could be turned over. So I have seen, because like I said, since I've been on like over 50 podcasts.
Oh, you've seen it all. You've probably seen more than me.
I've seen so many different ways that people handle it, and I see best practices and what I consider more professional or less professional. So it I'd obviously want to come out from the starting gate, as professional as I can, and have things set up with systems in place so that I can just let it flow and do what I love to do, which is talking to people.
Yeah. So I definitely think if you got the time, because I know you're probably going to hop on LinkedIn right after this and keep the ball rolling. Right. But if you got time to invest, like I just said, about 4 hours a week, go for it, starting it on your own, just because then you'll learn a lot more. But if you are looking to just have a brand spanking new Mercedes-Benz right out of the garage, then reach out to one of those 3 guys that I mentioned.
Got it. Okay. Can we touch on the recording and editing for a couple minutes? And we lost your video.
Oh, yep. Hold on. So
there you go.
There you go. Incoming call. Recording and yes, good catch.
Recording and editing. Let's touch on that.
And this is where advisory wise, it's for me. I'm going to be able to explain to you how I do it, but how I do it, I've also been doing since I was in university, because I studied broadcast journalism. So Adobe Premiere is how I edit all of my shows. There's plenty of tutorials on YouTube, for example, in regards to using Adobe Premiere or any of the really Adobe products. But outside of that, what I know a lot of individuals use that aren't as don't have as much experience are GarageBand if they have a Mac, and then if you have a PC, Audacity. And those are both very, very user-friendly as well. You can record onto it, or for example, if you're recording on like this call, you can drag the audio into those programs, cut, splice, edit, however you like, put in, download sound effects or whatever. And you can see the linear picture essentially of the show in those platforms.
You put in intros and outros and all that kind of stuff.
Right. So GarageBand, Audacity, both very user-friendly, and I guarantee there's like probably thousands of videos on how to use them to get started with a podcast too on YouTube.
You record video with your podcast, or you just do audio?
I'm audio only. Sometimes I'll have individuals hop on with video just because it's that's just how they always do it. I prefer audio only for one reason, because I do think sometimes it helps the quality of the conversation for the two to be able to see each other. I'm sure you've probably observed that.
You mean video?
I'm sorry. Did I? Yeah.
Right. No, of course. I agree.
To have the video up. This is all just preference, having video up, audio only, etc. I like audio only because it makes it easier sometimes for my guests to be interviewed, because maybe they are busy and they don't have time to get pretty or whatever. Right. I just had someone on the other day who was like, "Oh, I'm so happy you do audio only because I just got back from the gym."
Right, of course.
And then also, depending on the connection of the internet too, when you go audio only, there's way less of a chance of any type of disruption with the connection.
Got it. And so do you use a specific platform? I mean, it was a while when we recorded that. I don't remember what you used. Do you use Zoom or do you use something else like as a platform to record that? Because you mentioned Audacity or whatever, but that you're recording.
Those are for editing though,
Those are just for editing itself. Okay.
Right.
I kind of like transition into the recording of it, but yeah.
Yeah. No, that's good. So I've kind of gravitated back towards Zoom. For a while, I was using a platform called Zencastr, and Zencastr it still is a really good platform, and it provides high quality recordings on both ends, which can help a lot.
Okay.
Basically, what Zencastr does is it records my audio on a server closer to me, and it records your audio on a server closer to you. And then when the recording is done, you have two MP3 files that are, but you have to kind of sometimes line up together, which is why I stopped using it, because the conversation would glitch here and there.
Interesting.
But either way, it was higher quality, but it was just a little bit too much of a pain. And then also Zencastr, you have to be on a PC. So then my guests sometimes wouldn't be able to join because maybe they could only call in by phone.
Right.
So that's why I definitely am a big fan of Zoom. And there's another one out there similar to Zencastr, and it's slipping my mind now, but it's actually, in my opinion, is even better than Zencastr. But again, you have to have like Google Chrome, and you got to be in front of the computer in order to use it.
Okay. So you do the recording, video up, using video, not using video, do that through Zoom or another Zencastr, another type of platform. And I think I've been on all of them, all of the above. And I can't even remember how many I've been, but I've definitely been on Zencastr. I've definitely been on, Zoom is the majority, I would say, use that. The vast majority. It's just incredible, platform, and the software allows you to do. So then, once you get that recording, you spend the time editing it, you do your thing. Obviously you said you started putting on YouTube, but I mean, I've seen people put just the audio recording on YouTube. Have you? Yeah. I don't get that, but
No, yeah. It actually, so believe it or not, it does help. And it's one thing that I've shied away from, because for me to get my audio recordings on YouTube actually took like at least another hour, if not more, of work because I'm a perfectionist. And so I was editing them using Adobe Premiere. There's other ways you can just like click and drop and boom, next thing you know, your video's up on YouTube. But the quality of the video, it just wasn't what I wanted. So I was like, you know what, just forget it. I'm just done with YouTube. At the same time, I do post videos on YouTube and Facebook still for the Lieberland show, which is the other show that I produce. Those videos are much quicker and easier for me to flip around. And that's actually where we get 90% of our listenership is on Facebook and YouTube. And I think it's just because I don't know why, but that is the case.
I mean, because people are on Facebook. That's
I think it's also because Lieberland already had subscribers and a following on the YouTube channel and Facebook prior to me creating the show. So actually that's
interesting. That's an interesting, that's actually a very interesting note that you say, create the following before the podcast. And I believe it or not, I think that's probably one of the big reasons what's pushing me to do the podcast is because I already have this big following, albeit not with any Facebook group or anything like that, but through LinkedIn and, whatever it is, I have a big following. I think
you're in a great position.
Would appreciate, the value that I could produce through a podcast. There was another question I wanted to ask you about the video. You mentioned Facebook. Do you do Facebook Live ever through the podcast? Because I've done that a couple times.
Okay. And I actually haven't, but
it's interesting.
I know it's yeah.
Because it seems like they're doing just Facebook Live and then they're just posting. I guess I've never done a Facebook Live before, so I don't even know how it works. But I assume that there's a place.
We should do one sometime.
Maybe we could do one now. Just click. We'll transition after the Zoom call just to go on and. But I think. Yeah. But I mean, I could do that. But then what happens at that point? Then it just. I guess the video is recorded to Facebook, or you can record simultaneously, Zoom and Facebook. And
You probably can. I never thought about that, but I'm sure you can record them both at the same time. It'll probably take a little bit more
I mean, I did that
juice from your
last
internet
week
or
with
PC.
Chris Salerno. Out of Charlotte. He had me, and we did a Zoom call, and he's like, "Okay, we're getting the Facebook Live." And I guess Facebook integrates with Zoom because on the actual Zoom screen at the top it said Facebook Live on it.
Okay.
So there must be an integration in Zoom itself to do a Facebook Live.
Well, that's good to know, because I didn't know that. So now I learned something. And yeah, Facebook I haven't gotten into too much, probably because I'm a millennial and more of us are on Instagram. But no, Facebook would be an interesting platform to kind of test the waters with, especially with live, because I'm sure you've seen, thousands. I've seen so many people building their following because they do a live video like at least once a week. So
right,
something to consider.
Okay. So I'll have to look into that also. Facebook, Zoom integration. This has been incredibly valuable. So in the end of the day, if I'm just doing it personally, I'm not looking, practically speaking, I'm not looking to do a corporate thing. I'm not looking to do a cost segregation podcast, in case you're wondering.
Okay.
Right?
Nice. Well, I'm sure you're tired of talking about that a little bit.
Yeah, listen, I've been on, 50, and I'm sure I'm going to be on more. I'm already invited next week to another 2. I'm saying just try to get on as many as I can, but I've experienced so many podcasts that I know more what I want to do and what I don't want to do.
Right.
And so that's probably why I've been waiting so long to kind of work things out with myself, figure out like a script of some sorts and a platform, a kind of a model, if you will, of how each show would go. And I know you have the same thing. You have 3 questions at the end that, everyone gets asked the same questions. And these are very valuable things. And a lot of people have that. So I'm just in the middle of creating that. So once I have that created, let's say I have a script, I have what I want to do. I have a list of guests in my mind. I have a Calendly account. I'll set it up, with, the podcast dates to do. Open an Anchor account.
Yep, there you go.
Right? Open an Anchor account. Get a name. Got to create
a name. Names are important.
Names are very important. I'm thinking Weiss advice. But
I was gonna say that. Yeah. I don't want to take credit now. I think I might have came up with that one.
Maybe it could be. It was a while back, like a year ago. Someone you or someone, the Weiss advice. Yeah. But then I'm thinking that's a little broad, whatever. I just came up with this great why real estate? That's my concept right now. Why real estate? So that can have a lot of meanings and it can be a lot.
You can really,
it's more focused, focus on real estate, but at the same time, it can be more broad. Weiss advice could be really open to anything, not real estate related, which is kind of why I like that angle to it.
And that's a good angle to have, I think, because as the show continues to grow, you might find yourself in a position where you do kind of want to change up the theme, and by keeping it open from the beginning, it gives you that opportunity instead of having to figure out how to rebrand. So,
exactly.
And then again, you already have the following, so it's kind of just in a way, it's kind of just like the Yonah Weiss show. There's plenty of people that are going to want to hear it. So
it could just be the Yonah Weiss show.
You can do that. I'll subscribe.
That's extremely open-ended. Right. Yeah. So, okay. So that's good. What didn't we cover about podcasting? Good experiences, bad experiences. You did speak about some things at the beginning that you changed.
Yeah. A couple things. And then I do have to get going. But one is zoning in on a length of the show. I find that people really like the 10 to 20 minute episodes. At the same time, Hunter Thompson's show is anywhere from 45 minutes to an hour. And all I ever hear with our production of that show from our listeners is just, wow, how detailed, how great, just how much they love the show. And it's a longer one. So it comes down to your preference there. And then what was the other thing? Oh, I've just found it easier to keep the interview as conversational as possible. I used to stick to the same 10 questions, for example, every time for the first, I don't know, 20 episodes. And then actually I had Reed Goosens on my show, and he told me how he used to do that. And then he just got to a point where he was like, we're just going to have a chat.
Right.
And then you can, I mean, I have a couple questions that are the same at the beginning, and the 3 that I do at the end. But outside of that, it's just a conversation.
More conversational, and I think that's more organic, and people relate to it a lot more. So I feel that very strongly as well.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, there we go. I'm definitely you definitely got to get me this video, because it is truly a value add video. Yeah,
there's a lot of information jam packed here, and I think this is probably going to be one of my episodes. How to create a podcast with Adam Carswell.
Honored. I'm honored.
Okay, 2 more questions before you got to go, just because these are other questions that are involved. We did mention about the Adobe Premiere or the Audacity GarageBand, different ways to create it, to edit it. Do you have, you have an intro or an outro? Do you record that yourself, or do you get use Fiverr or outsourcing for any type of any stuff like that? Like what would you recommend?
I probably would recommend using Fiverr, Upwork, or something like that to get the intro, outro music. What I was able to do is I just happened to have some friends from high school that made, what's the right kind of word? I guess like orchestral music, or I even call it like epic music, because it's like the Gladiator type of music.
Right.
But so I just asked them like, hey guys, can I use this for my show? And they were like, yeah. And I have my intro script is all pre-recorded, so it's the same intro, relatively the same outro every show with the music playing over it. And
it is pre-recorded, or is it on the show itself? Do you do that?
It's pre-recorded. So if I'm interviewing you, you're not going to be able to hear it. Even when I always tell people, because I have the next level chamber sound effect.
Right.
And if I was interviewing you right now, you wouldn't hear it. But when I go back and edit it, that's when it comes in.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. And then one more question, because I know this is going to be a really good one. I know you mentioned you have a scheduling thing, right? So you have this schedule, and it is very important to keep that. And obviously you can be fluid sometimes, open to that. Like if someone can't make a certain time, right? You really want to have them on. And the Facebook Live thing, I think is an opportunity that really gives you more opportunity. But the question I have is, I've seen you do some stuff. You're at an event or something like that, right? And then you meet someone there. It's great stuff. It's great content for social media to make a little recording or something like that. Is that something you would do, or you would consider doing, an episode of your show? Or do you keep your show so your listeners know what to expect every week, like a conversation? Or would you, are you open to something like just some random, hey, I'm at, what's it called, show? I've just met so-and-so. Let's do a quick podcast kind of recording.
Yeah, I've done that. I've done that with my weekly updates. So if you go back through probably the past 2 or 3 months of my weekly updates, I can't remember which ones, but sometimes I've just been on the fly. For example, one of my friends is like, yo, when are you going to get me on your podcast? Is one of my buddies from high school.
Right.
And I was like, okay, if you're gonna joke around with me like that right now, let's do it. Let's go. We're going live right now. He's like, oh, what? I was like, yeah, let's go. So I'll do stuff like that sometimes. And what else came to mind just now? For the first time, episode 81, 82 just came out today. So episode 81 of Dream Chasers, I was at a restaurant because the way scheduling worked with me and the guest, I was kind of just like, I got to do it this way. So there was a little bit of background noise and stuff, but I told the listeners at the beginning, hey, this is the first time we've ever recorded outside of the studio. Buckle up. So there's ways to get creative and keep it consistent, but that's how if I ever do record outside of the studio, that's how I do it.
Got it. Okay. Amazing.
And I just use the iPhone has the voice memo app. I'm sure there's other apps you can use on different phones or whatever. So.
Oh, okay. Okay. That's good to know. Amazing. Incredible. Adam, I appreciate you taking the time and sharing your knowledge and inspiration really, because I think this is really what I needed, just to get some clear facts and some clear experience from someone who's done it, more than just once, right?
Mm-hmm.
Someone who's just done it once, it doesn't mean as much as someone who produces multiple shows. It means a lot more. And yeah, it does not seem like something that is going to be too overwhelming, even to do, in a professional way, even to do, the right way, as I would like to call it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I appreciate that. I think we can look out in the coming weeks for the launch.
All right.
I may say so.
Sounds good. Yeah. Thanks for reaching out, connecting, and give me this video, because I'm going to do something with it.
Yeah. Whoa. And I just thought of one more question, right?
Uh-huh.
Pre-recording, right?
Yep.
I know you put out 2 episodes a week, right? So do
Mm-hmm.
you pre-record? And if so, how much in advance? And obviously you need the time to edit, but do you record a number of episodes? I know like Joe Fairless, for example, he does a daily podcast and he does them all in one day.
Right.
He records for 10 hours, he just records back to back to back to back to back episodes. And then he's got a whole bank full of episodes in the pipeline getting edited and being pushed out.
Yeah. So, I mean, I definitely pre-record my interviews, but I don't have like a 10-hour block, for example, where I just do them all. It's more to the schedule for recording is pretty flexible in favor of the interviewee. So, and that's fine. I mean, for example, right now I've got 6 or 7 episodes in the pipeline, so I could really not record any interviews for the next month and a half and still be okay. So that's something that you got to just build over time. And then, what was there's another part to that question. With the weekly updates between you, me, and everyone listening now, I do actually record those on either today, Fridays, and sometimes Saturdays for it scheduled to go live on Monday, because using Anchor, you can schedule the release dates of your episodes. So another thing to remember.
Okay, that is important.
Yep. It's very helpful.
Awesome. And release date and time, I assume also, right?
Yep.
Is there a better date or time to release a podcast?
I'm sure there's if you just do a web search on it, right, and I guess the metrics. I didn't do any research on it before I did, and I would say I don't regret that, just because like the weekly update should come out on a Monday anyway. Now my other episodes come out on Thursdays. Is that the ideal day for someone to engage in a podcast? I heard Thursdays are actually pretty busy for people, so really look into what day you want to have your show come out. But I've kind of just chosen Thursday and stuck with it, and I have no reason to really change it at this point.
Amazing. Okay. Yeah. And how do we do a Facebook Live, in case I wanted to do one right now? I don't know. Oh, we're not going to do it. Don't worry.
I gotta go.
You gotta go. All right. Thanks so much, Adam. It has been incredible. I really appreciate you. We'll see you on LinkedIn.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Yonah.
All right.